Welcome back to From My Living Room to Yours. Some of us in the parish have been reading the Bible together over the past several months. We're using a book called The Path. Many people in the group have been glad that we're finally through the Hebrew scriptures because some of those Old Testament readings can be so challenging. One too many times the stories talk about how God spoke to someone and then a bunch of people were killed. Of course, the overarching story is about God's people trying to discern how to be faithful while God, in God's compassion and mercy, remains ever faithful. But still, those stories bring up all kinds of wonderings. One of the most frequent questions have been, did God actually speak directly to this person or that person? Did they really hear God's voice, or was it someone else? And perhaps more importantly, did God stop speaking to people? Well, I can't claim to know the exact answers, but I believe God speaks to us all. It's just that God speaks to me in ways that I can hear and understand, and God speaks to you in other ways that you can hear and understand. God's not human, so I don't think God has a human voice, but there have been 3 distinct times in my own life, 3 that I remember anyway, where I clearly heard a voice outside of myself. It wasn't my own voice and there was no one else around, so it wasn't someone else's voice. And I can't tell you that it was a male or a female voice, it was just a voice I heard. All 3 times I was out in nature, and each time the voice made a clear statement like, "Come home, just come home." But the message is never clear. Instead, it's like a Zen Buddhist koan that then sort of rolls around in my head for weeks or months as I try to figure out what might that clear statement mean. But most often I hear God speaking to me through other avenues. I might hear a song that I've heard many times before, and suddenly this time when I hear it, the lyrics pop out in a way I hadn't heard before, and I think, thanks God. I needed to hear that. Other times it's in something another person says to me, sometimes in a book I'm reading, through movies I'm watching, in observing or creating art. My guess is that you have these things happen to you also, but that you're hesitant to name it as God spoke to me today. What I know is that the more you claim that God does speak to you, the more you will become aware of the ways God is speaking to you. I'll leave you with a Gracie quote. Some of you remember she was George Burns's wife, and the UCC church used this quote in their tagline for years. She said, "Don't put a period where God put a comma. Don't put a period where God put a comma, because God is still speaking." Until next time, go with good courage and fear not, because God is with you and God is speaking to you.